So, Coach, when you're ready, take it away.
All right, appreciate it, Ross. Good morning, everybody. We're excited about another opportunity. Hard to believe this is our last conference road game. It seems like we just got started, and now we're on our last road trip in this league. So, and definitely will be our toughest challenge. You know, toughest environment for sure. Great place to go play a ball game. You know, one of the better environments I think out there in college football. You know, when it's rocking, and it'll certainly be rocking Saturday night. It's a good football team. It's that simple. I mean, it's a team that you know, a few plays from being undefeated, without a doubt. I mean, they are, you know, much improved, you know, since Mike has taken over. Obviously, he took over, and they had a lot of issues. He's done a really good job of, you know, really changing the culture. I mean, these kids are competing. They play hard. Done a good job getting them better in the trenches because they're much improved on both sides of the ball there. They got 7 starters back on offense and 4 transfers that have come in there and made a difference for them. So 3 great backs. Got a lot of respect for this quarterback. I think he's first of all a high character kid. He's a dynamic player. He's tough as they come. He's a relentless competitor, and you know, got a lot of respect for that. He can beat you throwing the ball. He can beat you with his legs, and just a really good player. All the backs, you know, I mean, they look like the Florida State backs that you're accustomed to seeing. Explosive, catch the ball out of the backfield. You know, they get it to them a lot of different ways, and you know, this is a team that's got probably more weapons than they've had in quite a while offensively. You know, really good receivers, and then the kid that came in from Oregon, number 4, really good player, and then obviously 14 is a giant. I mean, 6'7", 230-something pounds, and you know, very good finisher on the ball. He's a problem. You got to know where he is all the time. They do a great job with their tight end, 87. He's a 5th-year senior. 80, I think he's a very underrated player. He's a sixth-year guy. He's played a ton of ball. He's a crafty route runner. And so just a really good group. 3 starters back up front, brought 2 transfers in. And, you know, this is, again, a group that, you know, can score. They're rushing for 200-plus yards a game, so I think obviously the challenge there is being able to control their run game. Screens galore, every screen you can think of, from receivers, tight ends, running back screens. You know, a lot of misdirection. And all the shots that come off of it. So really force you to be disciplined with your eyes and what you have to do on the back end to defend them. But it's all built through the run game. You know, I mean, so they're averaging almost 6 yards a carry. So this is that's a huge challenge for us, is to try to not let them be a balanced football team. You know, if they can have some balance, they're really dangerous. And then on the other side of the ball, man, they got a bunch of NFL dudes on that side. I mean, they got some cats. These 2 safeties are going to be high draft picks. They are really good football players. You know, 10 and 27. I think their corners are outstanding. 7 and 8, and then these are the best group of backers we've seen as far as just fast and physical. Really good group. And then up front, you know, I know they've had a couple guys kind of in and out like we have, but in totality, this is an outstanding group. That number 99 is a load inside. 91 is the same thing. I mean, he's a hard guy to move, hard guy to run the ball on. Looks like they're probably getting 0 back. He's an outstanding player, twitchy guy inside, and they got 3 or 4 guys at end that can all get after the quarterback. And number 5 is a very unique player. He's a dynamic pass rusher and has created some problems. He's got, you know, several sacks, and he's had limited reps with his injury. But 9 and 6, you know, so a complete group. They've taken kicks back to the house, so they've done it in a lot of different ways, from you know, scoring in the kicking game to you know, turnovers on defense, and you know, explosive plays on offense. So, you know, I think a really good football team. I think they're a team that can not only play with anybody, I think they could beat anybody. on any given day. I think they got enough to beat you. So, we'll have to play well. We're excited about it. Again, a good challenge and a great environment to go play in. And, for us, it's just about, executing at a high level. You're kind of, our next goal is to win the division. So if that's, championship football is about having championship execution, one play at a time and cutting out some of the miscues, at this point in the season as we kind of go into what we call the third quarter of the season. We have got to, be at our best Saturday night. So with that, I'll take your questions. All right, see y'all there.
Dabo, so much about college football is built on rivalries. Would you probably agree? Who would you say that is Clemson's biggest ACC rival?
Oh, man, whoever we're playing that week. I know you don't want that answer, but, listen, we're at a point where everybody circles us, we're that team that everybody's going to practice against year-round. They're going to pay attention to every week. You're going to work in spring ball against that team. That's just where we are as a program. And, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to boast or anything like that, but our success that we've had, brings that comes with it. And so you have to embrace that target, if you will. So, man, everybody we play is the biggest game. Now, certainly from a rivalry standpoint and looking at, your fans and all that, Clemson, Florida State and we've been a division foe. And if you look at this league, I don't even know how long they've been in the league. Tim, how long has Florida State been in the league? Well, 92?
92.
Okay, well, all right, so that's a long time. 30 years. Golly. We're celebrating our 92 national championship next week in Tuscaloosa. I ain't going to make it. But anyway, it's hard to believe it's been 30 years. But 30 years, you think about how many times Florida State has won this league. You think about and then even over the last 14 years, it's been a lot of Clemson, Florida State. This game many times has kind of decided who won the league or who won the division to go play for the league. I think it's huge. There's so many great moments and games, and there's been a lot of cycles in this series, all the way back to 1992. And then obviously when Coach Bowden came, then you had, the Bowden Bowl and all those years of that. I think that even took it to another level, if you will. But, I think, that's probably one for sure. I know there's been a lot of history with Clemson, Georgia Tech forever. I think for a long time, I think Coach Howard, didn't Coach Howard go to Atlanta every year for a long time? And they only won twice? So, I guess they got a good paycheck. Is that, so I know from a fan standpoint, there's always been a lot there. Certainly Clemson, NC State, that's a textile bowl. They hand you a trophy when that game's over, right? You get a trophy. A lot of people forget about that. But I think anytime you got a trophy handed to you after a regular season game, there's pretty good rivalry with it. Boston College. They give you a trophy. I think I just look at everybody with respect, and I think everybody's a rival. But I know it's different for our fans, in that that grew up with it. And from a conference standpoint, I would say, NC State, Florida State, Georgia Tech, traditional. Virginia Tech kind of came in late. But just long-time traditional foes, that's probably your biggest rivals, I guess.
The screen game you mentioned, how much does what you did against Furman, you learn from that? What are some of the things you do to counter that?
Well, yeah. Well, you got to smell it out first. You got to recognize, do a good job up front in recognizing the tips and the tendencies that come with the screen game. We got to do a good job of retracing playing with angles and getting flat. We just did a poor job. We got to tackle better, and we got to support from the outside in when we do support from the back level. That's the main thing. Just we can't. If it's too good to be true, usually is. So we just got to read our keys and have our eyes on the right things and react properly.
Dabo, Brzee will be back this week. Is that correct?
Yep, he's going to be back.
So what does that mean for you for you guys, that all the guys you anticipated coming into the season are going to be out there and ready to go?
Hopefully it's good. Like I said, I don't think we get worse with Brian back. I think he makes us better. It's great to get Trey back last week. He had a nice sack, and then certainly getting Xavier Thomas going and continuing to go with building his role, getting him back fully confident, I think is huge for us. But we've gotten better. We're playing better. These last couple weeks, I think we've played our best football defensively, and we've cleaned some things up on the back end. We've played with a little bit more discipline, a little bit more attention to details. I think it's a reflection of how we've practiced, to be honest with you. I think some guys have, again, sometimes as I've said, sometimes you lose before guys really kind of grow up. But we were fortunate that we won that Wake Forest game. Some guys were embarrassed. And, you can tell, we all have had kids, right? You tell them the stove's hot, and, what do? If I tell all y'all, hey, don't look in the back of the room right there, don't look what's going on back there, y'all all want to turn and look back there. So, that's kind of where we are. And I think some guys have just changed their practice habits a little bit. Coaches have done a good job of getting their attention, and we've just played cleaner. And, we've given up some plays here or there, but so, it'll be nice to be able to get, we haven't had Sheridan in a while. He's a veteran player. That's played a lot of football, and he's got a lot of experience. He understands the game, so we've been kind of growing some guys up. Some, young guys there's even guys that are really good young players. They're not anywhere what they're going to be with some experience. So I think that part, the fact that we're undefeated and we've had to play a lot of guys, and guys have gotten some good experience, I think that will serve us well at some point. But it's nice to get some of these guys back that are a little more seasoned.
Talk about Sheridan. Is he still day-to-day, or is he weird?
He's still day-to-day, but we're, hopefully, today and tomorrow I think are the critical days for him. We thought he was going to play last week, and just, literally on Friday, we found out he couldn't go. So, he's still day-to-day, but, we are hopeful that he'll have a good week and we'll be able to go, but that's where we are.
Tyler and RJ at this point?
They'll be back.
Is the plan for XT to kind of gradually add more plays
Yeah.
for him
Yep.
each week?
Yep. It is, just keep kind of increasing his workload during the week at practice, still be smart with him. He's played a lot of football, he's been around a while. He understands things, but just try to, slowly increase his work capacity through the week and be smart with him. And then just, he's and then he knows what he can and can't do, but he's in a good spot, and like I said, the doctors feel really good about him. Obviously, he looked pretty good the other night, but we're just trying to be cautious with him, and so. But yeah, we'll definitely. I think he'll play more than 6 plays. Hope so.
Dabo, has the offensive line progressed about how you would have wanted and expected at this point in the season?
They have. I think they've come together. I thought we had a few miscues the other night, but it's a good group. We've had more continuity than we've had. Probably the biggest thing is I wish we had been able to, through 6 games, get a little bit more playing time for 2 or 3 other guys, and just hasn't worked out that way, But because I am confident there's, with our backups, but we just, we're just sometimes you feel like you're living and dying on every play, and you got your best guys out there, and they've earned that. But the continuity, the consistency for DJ, I think, has made a huge difference. And again, not perfect. I don't think anybody's going to win the Outland Trophy right away, but we are much better. We're much better in every area. We've protected our quarterback well. We've been able to, have pretty good balance throughout the season, and we've had a lot of explosive plays. So they're where I hope we'd be. I mean, still a work in progress, but in a long season ahead. But they are a group that has really gelled well. I mean, I'm really proud of Marcus Tate. From where he was last year to where he is now, it's night and day. Blake is a true freshman, and he probably had his worst game the other night. Just got beat inside 2 or 3 times, oversetting on some things and some footwork stuff. But he's the same thing. Very conscientious kid, physical. He really can do everything we need him to do, and he's just growing each and every week. J Mac's a pro. I mean, J Mac, he's gonna play for a long time. That guy's he's as good as we've ever had. I mean, he's a really, really good football player. Putnam, same thing, man. It's amazing how consistent he is. Just incredibly consistent. You can just count on him week in and week out. And then Walker Parks he's the Shipley up front. He just brings a fire to the group that you love.
What's the ceiling for this running game, and how much better do you see it getting over the second half?
Oh, I think we can get a lot better. And it's everybody. It's not just your OL. It's making the right decisions in the run game, because we put a lot of it will come on our quarterback too. It's making the right decisions, not just the quarterback, but also the right decisions with our backs, as far as trusting things, not cutting on air, pressing blocks. I mean, it's got to all sync up. It's not always the line. Sometimes your back doesn't. He tries to do too much. And so it's your tight ends. It's your receivers doing a good job, on the second and third level. It's all got to be tied together, and then it's your RPOs off of it. It's your control plays. It's your screen game. There's a lot of things that go into your run game in 2022 that was different in 1992. So it's a totality of it. But I think we can be a really, really good running football team. DJ has been a huge factor for us. I mean, he's 3rd and 3 the other night, backed up, and we call a quarterback draw. And he ran for 40 yards. So that wouldn't probably happen last year. He's just a very, very confident kid. So I think we have the ability to be a very productive running offense, and we're going to need to be for sure as we keep moving forward.
Does Kobe's injury kind of affect that? Does somebody move up into that spot, or is it more?
Dominique is our third. He'll be our third guy, Dominique Thomason, and I love Dominique Thomason. I hate that he's another one of those guys. Kind of like I was saying on our OL. I hate we haven't been able to get him more opportunity, because he's a really good player. But his time will come. It'll come at some point, and y'all are gonna go like, wow, where'd that guy come from? He's a really tough, hard to tackle guy. He's got great vision. He's got great hips. Wouldn't think that. He's a big, strong, thick kid, but he's a really, really good runner. Big quads, big ones. But he'll move up, and then we're trying to redshirt Keith, so we're kind of holding him, but he'll have to be ready and travel. I think he's played 1 game, so we still got 3 games that we could play him in, and not burn his red shirt. So, and we feel good about both of those guys, but it's unfortunate because we're going to need Kobe at some point, but hopefully it'll be a good opportunity for Will and Maffa. I thought Maffa had a great game the other night. He's 5.1 a carry, and he's starting to really hit his stride a little bit. But our hope is Kobe's ready to go for that November run. When we're here back at the home stretch.
Talk about DJ, the quarterback's role in the run game. I mean, how much is his success just a product of being more willing to pull it this year than he would have been
I definitely think that's a part of it. Just his want to, like he really wants to be, better. And looking back last year, there was a lot of opportunities where he didn't run it, or when he did run it, he felt like he wasn't as good as he needed to be. No, he also was hurt a lot of last year with a big old knee brace on, but that was one of the things he really committed to, and that's why he lost 30 pounds, and just kind of changed his body, and and not just running the football, but just being more athletic and mobile in the pocket, being able to escape and extend plays. And you've seen that this year. Some of our biggest plays have come off of scrambles. We've had some huge scramble, and that's football. I mean, that happens at every level in football. You got a quarterback who can move around, and you don't have to be Deshaun Watson. You don't have to be Trevor even and have like wheels like that. You just got to be able to, be athletic and to be able to. I mean, watch Mahomes. I mean, he's not some burner, but this guy's so athletic. He's so athletic in the pocket, and he has such a feel, and he can extend plays, and it's hard to cover guys a long time, right? And then he's accurate. He can make all the throws, So I think that was something that he really wanted to add to his game this year, and he's just much more confident.
So many guys now who you had to force into action last year, now a year later, you're having to correct less on film when you go through it, or you're just able to turn on the film halfway through this season and notice that they get it?
Oh man, listen, I wanted to vomit watching the Florida State game last year. I mean, it was so painful to watch it. We were so bad. Oh my God, we won, which is a miracle. But we were so bad, and yeah, we don't really have games like that this year. I mean, we're correct. It's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think. That's always been the case. There's always stuff that you got to do better, and you're always coaching. But grading our tape this year versus last year is night and day. I mean, night and day in every area. And so, yeah, and again, you just watch our game from last year, and you're just going, holy cow, we won this game. I don't even know how we won the game. It's crazy. But we made but it just shows that's the heart of your guys. We won that game last year on just heart and grit and will to win, and, they think they're supposed to win. I mean, that play to Jay Ross down the field. I mean, we get a sack, fumble, touchdown in the fourth quarter, and we get the stop with 3:40, I think, and then we had moved the ball, and we hadn't had a game-winning drive, and all of a sudden, man, here we go, and we hit Jay Ross, and then Shipley breaks off the long run. I mean, it was just we were very fortunate because we lost the turnover margin last year. They got a score on us on defense. It was a struggle. We were so unsettled. We were young and inexperienced. Looking at Shipley now compared to last year's night and day. Missed plays. I mean, so it was a frustrating season as far as just grading and correcting and teaching week in and week out. This year it's been better. Again, it's a lot every week still, but it's more stuff that you would expect, normal corrections, normal teaching, and not some of the just, frustrating things that we did last year.
Talked about the perseverance of XT or the patience of XT coming back, but Trey Williams, a guy who had both shoulders that were out last year, only played 14 games as a true freshman. I mean, how have you seen him approach just having patience and perseverance to come back and play the way he has?
Trey?
Yeah, Trey.
Well, XT, first of all, I mean, he's an amazing story. I mean, he really is, and it's unbelievable the maturity that he has now from when I first met him, and the fact that he's here, and just what he's been through, what he's overcome, where he is, just from a growth as a human being. I mean, I'm really proud of him, and then just his knowledge as a football player. I mean, he really was not a very knowledgeable player when he came here at all. He was just a good athlete that could run fast and was strong and looked the part. But he had so much to learn, and he's really just more of a complete player. And he's in the best shape of his life, mentally and physically. And I'm really, really proud of him. And it's fun to see him, overcome and be where he is right now. So, and then next, Trey, he's coming out of high school, and with the shoulder, and then just all the things that he's dealt with here. This is a really talented, high-level, explosive, defensive tackle. I mean, he's really, really going to be a good player. And you've seen flashes of him, and he knows what he can do, but he's been limited, with injuries, with his knee, his shoulders. He's had a lot of things, but he's just kept the faith. He's just continues to have a smile on his face, and he's stayed confident, and I think our staff's done a great job of keeping him encouraged, and so it's great to see him out there, and it was fun to see him have a sack the other night. I think he had about 40 people there, so saw his mom before the game when I was getting on the bus at the hotel. It's good to see her, and so I'm proud of him, really happy for him, and it's all in front of him. I mean, it's still, he's just I guess technically a redshirt sophomore, so he's still got it all in front of him, and if he stays healthy, he will finish well here at Clemson for sure.
Is it a common thing for guys to come here without a great deal of aptitude for the game, though, generally, even though they may be highly regarded? You do a lot of teaching.
Oh, yeah.
Just the bait,
Yeah.
just things you might expect them to already know.
Yeah, that's why I always say you never know. I mean, that's what I don't like about the recruiting process is you get all these kids labeled, and it creates, it's just not good. It's not good for their mental health, to be honest with you. Because they're kids, and although they may be physically ready, they're mentally a ways off. There's just there's a huge transition, and then you have some guys that physically are not ready, but mentally, man, they get it. Like, they get it, and they can just go play. And that's, you just never know that till you start coaching a kid. You just don't. And when you start projecting that, and then all of a sudden, this guy's not playing, and people get disappointed, and all this and that, but because he's supposed to just do all this stuff. And I always say, if freshmen are coming in and starting every year, well, what about all these guys you recruited? You must have missed on everybody. And you don't develop well, but you're always going to have a guy or two, but it's unique. That's what I was saying about Barrett Carter last year. I mean, Barrett, he's not the norm. Isaiah Simmons is a perfect example. He redshirted. He was nowhere near ready to play. I don't think he was very serious about it, and he was just kind of an athlete. Roamed around at middle third, and they'd throw him some jump balls, but he wasn't really serious about. And now all of a sudden you're playing nickel Sam in our defense, and Brent's in your grits because you lined up outside and you should be inside, and he don't understand why he should be inside. I mean, there's just a lot to it and how it all fits together. And it's the same thing on the offensive side. I mean, you got a lot, especially in the offensive line. You got guys. That's the hardest position. That's why it's amazing what Miller's doing. And the fact that he came in January, helped him. But you just don't see that. You see so many of these guys that and then some guys, again, mentally, they're pretty sharp, but physically, you just want to, kind of develop them a little bit. I'd put Cole Turner in that. Like, Cole Turner, he could play today. He can play today. Mentally, that kid. He is instinctive. He understands route running. He's got freaky ball skills. He is fast, but physically, we want to develop him a little bit if we can. So we've been trying to do it. So you have guys on all spectrums, but you just never know. You never know, and sometimes it takes guys a little bit of time. Vic Beasley, I mean, he was pretty good, right? And he was so far from playing for us as a freshman and a redshirt freshman, it ain't funny. He wasn't even close to playing for us. Then his redshirt sophomore year, we finally kind of got a little life out of him. Then his redshirt junior and senior year, he became a star. But it took a while. And then you get some guys that roll in here, and you know, the day they get here, they just get it. It just clicks for them. You just never know till you coach them.
Speaking of Brent, have you talked to him this week? How's he handling things? It seems like people are really impatient down there and bothered by what's going on.
Listen, I mean, it just comes with it. You know, it doesn't matter what you've done, right? I mean, you know, it just comes with it. And but certainly have communicated with him. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Brent's this isn't his first rodeo. I know it's his first opportunity to be in the skillet. But he'll be all right. He'll get it right. He knows what he's got to do. He hadn't forgot how to coach or any of those things. And you know, just a little tough stretch they're in right now.
Les told us yesterday he's learning how to be more demanding of his players. Can you give us your window into his growth, into the parts of the job that were new, like the leadership, the presence that you figurehead kind of?
Yeah, and those are things that, you know, he and I have talked about along the way. I mean, he's, you know, it's just, again, you know, it comes with anything, you know, when you're going through, and now all of a sudden you're leading the group. You've got staff, all these things, and he's such a good dude. I mean, he's just a great guy, and there's nobody that doesn't like Wes. I don't know, nobody. Everybody likes Wes, and but now all of a sudden, you know, there's times where, you know, they may not like you as much. It just comes with it. You know, leadership is hard. It's hard, and I think he's really grown into that. As far as really knowing when he needs to, you know, challenge and when he doesn't. But he's just going to keep getting better and better. But he's done a great job. He really has. Proud of him.
That was something you were talking about over the summer. Like you were reminiscing about being the dean of ACC football coaches. How have you seen? It's like they used to joke about how Bobby Bowden was a CEO down there at Florida State. You have to be CEO now. The staff explosion since you began being a coach is incredible. Do you like being that manager? Would you like that more focus on, you know, the on-field football things? How do you handle the changing scope of what you have to do?
I don't really do anything different than I ever. I think you have to be both. I think you have to do both. I think that, you know, and I'm an offensive guy, and I think every head coach is something. You know, they're an expert at something, and you're always going to, you know, gravitate to that and recruit to your strengths and your weaknesses, if you will. You know, you got to surround yourself with the right people. You got to manage people. You got discipline. You got a lot of decisions every single day. I love the aspect of being the head coach and planning and organizing and, you know, managing the team. You know, and I really don't manage the team any different than I ran my position group. I think it's the same. I just have a bigger position group, if you will. And I think it's important that they see you as the head coach as well. I think that's important, you know, and I think sometimes people miss that because they just spend all their time on one side of the ball. And I think that creates a disconnect. And I've tried to always guard against that. You know, I mean, everybody knows that I'm you know, my background, but I try to balance that as much as I can. And Coach Stallings taught me that. You know, he was a defensive guy, but you know, he knew what was going on. And I think you have to be very engaged as to what's going on. You know, as the old saying, you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. You know, that's kind of how I live by. And, you know, but you have to be engaged. You got to be engaged with your players. You got to be engaged with your staff. And then you have to be involved in the football aspect of it. I mean, I don't think you can ever get away from that. I mean, that's what you love. I just met for an hour. You know, that's one of the things every Tuesday morning I meet for an hour with, you know, about 30, 40 minutes with the defense and an hour with the offense. And, you know, it's one of my favorite days of the week as far as, you know, some of the key pieces of what we're trying to do game plan wise on both sides of the ball. And so I'm very engaged in all aspects. I don't think, but yeah, you got to be a CEO. I mean, you can't, I mean, there's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of things going on at a high level, but you also got to have good people. Now, I'm very fortunate. I got Woody. Woody is I mean, he and I have been together for 30 years, 32 years we've been together. And, he knows me like a book. So I can't go and sit in every, leadership meeting, that they want to have, but Woody can go and be there for certain things and make sure that we have a voice and make sure that we're in tune to things, as far as this time of year. And so I've just got great people, but you have to do both. I don't think you can be I mean, just my personal, I know I wouldn't be successful just being this or just being that. I think you have to be both, and you can do both. You just got to know how to be balanced. You got to be organized. You got to be efficient. You got to have a plan. I mean, we do a 13-month calendar and we just execute the day. So we're not trying to figure it out.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I think he recently said he prepares like a pro. I think his dad will literally watch his practice reps and give him feedback on what he did at practice. I mean, how much do you think having that resource and his dad has kind of led to that preparation?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can even question that. I mean, it's his dad, and you're, it'd be like, your dad being, I don't know, the best actor in Hollywood or so, and a movie star, and you're wanting to get into that business, and your dad's Robert De Niro or whoever, Lonesome Dove, and and Duvall, and you want to, okay, Dad, I want to learn how to do this. He's probably going to have pretty good advice. Now, obviously, you got to have the talent and the skill set, but that's certainly the case here. And his brother's the same. I mean, he's just linebackers, man. So, I mean, his father's one of the best to ever do it, right? I mean, great player for a long time in the pros. So you don't play that long in the pros if you don't have great knowledge, great understanding of the nuances of the game, hands, feet, eyes, offense, you name it. And so there's no doubt that he's taught that to his son. It's his son's like, hey, I want to play football. I want to do that. And, to have a guy like that to teach you, I mean, there's no question he's way ahead, because of certainly he's talented enough, but just also that has been a blessing for him. And I'm sure he would tell you that. And you saw that immediately when he got here. This wasn't a guy that you were starting with a blank canvas. I mean, this is a guy that, we just need to kind of frame it up really good, I mean, hanging on the wall. I mean, he's really, really good. And just truly has, everything that you'd want in the play, but his instincts for the game, his understanding of the game, and then the fact that, he comes here and gets coached every day, but I'm sure his dad also is he's got eyes too, right? And he watches him and can help him as well. I think that's a blessing for Jeremiah.
Any questions for Coach from Zoom?
This is Matt. Do you have an update on Malcolm or RJ?
Yeah, they're back. Malcolm was back last week. I know he didn't get in there, but he was ready if needed, and we expect RJ to be back.
And you mentioned earlier that this team's game planning for you year round and how difficult that's made it. I was just wondering if you had any examples of this year, maybe where there's been something that you weren't expecting or something thrown at you that you could tell that kind of someone had been working on for a while trying to get ready.
Well, I mean, no specific example, but there's always things, every week, regardless of, even at this point, there'll be things in the Florida State game that, they haven't shown on tape yet. That's just kind of always the case week to week. Same with us. You make the adjustments and you keep moving. But I just was making the point that we were talking about rivalries, and I was just making the point that I think our mindset is everybody wants to beat us. That's we know that there's a target on our back at Clemson, you know, and you know, we're that game that you're going to get everybody's best. You're not going to get anybody's C game. It's just not going to happen, and you have to understand that. If you come to Clemson, you got to understand that you're not going to. Nobody's going to sleepwalk against you. It doesn't matter who you play, from Furman to, you know, whoever. You are going to get everybody's absolute best effort on that given day, and you know, you got to be built and ready for that.